Hi everyone, I really welcome you aboard on this beautiful hop for the Papercrafters Unite Against Racism. For today, I've created three cards to showcase my tutorial, and this hop is very special. We are promoting Papercrafters Unite Against Racism, and we really would like to initiate this goal of this hop to come together and stand behind our crafty sisters and brothers of colour, but not just in the art industry, but also to show our support in the never-ending fight for equality all over the world. To start off this special hop, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of which I reside in and pay respects to the elders past, present and emerging. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to reading your comments. For my first two cards, I'm showcasing some special digital stamps that I bought particularly for this occasion. Angie Blom from Angie Blom Digital Designs has created this Love Is All You Need stamp set, and Grace Designs has created this Strength and Hope stamp set with the dragonflies. So I've showcased a couple of the digital images here. However, please note that these are special stamps that I've particularly got, and I am working with digital stamps and it's easily accessible, and I will make sure that you can link to the below and add all the links below. I'm going to be playing with some Catherine Pooler inks, and I'm going to make almost like an ombre effect. I'm going to also play with Wow embossing powders. I'm going to showcase how you don't need to stamp, but you can actually just add accents in different ways to your cards. This first card is Never Lose Hope, and I'm going to be using a green, blue, teal combination. So Rickey, Aquatini and Daydream. I use Melon Ice, and I also bring in another yellow color as well. Now, the special way I'm going to add Wow embossing powder here is the ultra high granules. So they're really coarse granules and they're loose on there. So I'm going to have to make sure, and if you do this technique, is to heat from behind. So I've partially melted it from underneath, then I'm going to finish it off by melting over the top. And this will add the beautiful speckles that you can add to your cards. You can also do this with the ultra high white, and they've got a gold. I chose gold for today. Now, making sure I've dried this cardstock offline, I use my embossing buddy, and then I'm going to use my Wow embossing pad, and I'm going to ink very heavily around the edges. I probably inked too heavily, but I wasn't going to backtrack my work now. But I do try and fix what I think needed a little bit of touch up with a dry brush. Now, I've used the gold metallic rich here in superfine granules. So you see the superfine granules on the edges, and then the ultra high granules on the speckled part of the actual card. Now, with this embossing heat tool, I've used heat setting 2 to heat set the edges. Now, to avoid a little bit of warping, I've used foam mount tape heavily on the back of this and mounted it on a black top folding card base. Now onto card 2. Again, another digital image. I'm going to be using a masking technique and doing a masking technique for this one. And I've got the Inkadinkado masking paper. I've die cut the heart from Lawn Fawn. Stick that over the panel. I've cut down the panel to size where the image was printed on. I've used a LaserJet printer. Now this is great because you can copy color with, and you can ink blend with without ruining the image itself. I'll be using another set of Catherine Pooler inks. This one here is Be Mine. Now, if you didn't notice before, I've used these makeup ink blending brushes, and this is how I'm going to get that soft, subtle effect of ink blending. If I wanted a heavier color and a heavier saturation, I would use my ink blending tool from Ranger. So this is the Grape Crush, and then there was Flirty Fuchsia before, and I just work in circular motions to protect my surface and my hands, which I don't end up doing a good job, but you know, I was happy with the end result. I've used a post-it note. Now here is the white ultra high. This ultra high again is large granules and it leaves a speckled effect. So it's another alternative way. If you wanted to, instead of using paint splatters, you can use embossing powder. And I'm going to heat set this from behind. I decided to add a little bit more of the white speckle effect, heating from behind again. And then once I found that is halfway heat set, I will, and you can see that, and the way to determine it is you can see the granules start to melt because it looks like originally like hard sand when you look at it. As you heat it from underneath, you can see the granules melting, and then that's when I revert to heating from the top. And that is my card. I've left both my cards of the digital designs really simple but effective. Now this card is very close to my heart. I have used stamp sets from Hero Arts, and bless them, their stamps inspired not only me, but it inspired the color combination. Now this color combination is inspired from my home country, here in Australia where I reside. I'm very lucky to be residing here, and also the colors are inspired from the traditional owners and lands from the place I reside in. So I love this color combination. I've used all Catherine Puller again. It's very the inks that I've used were readily available from Catherine Puller, and that I love that the variety of inks that I have chosen. So today is Tiara, Mandarin Spice, Samba, but I do bring the Rockin Red in at the last part of the ink blending process, purely because I needed the extra bit of oomph and color to add and depth. So I am ink blending here. Now my biggest tip with ink blending and then heat embossing over on top is to make sure your surface is dry. So I do use a anti-static powder as well. So you can see how that Rockin Red adds that little bit of depth that I just needed to finish this card off and this ink blending process. Now here I am. I heavily use my powder from there, and I use basically a really soft brush to help distribute that powder evenly. I love these stamp sets. I have to say these stamp sets from Hero Arts are absolutely beautiful. So one is the Sunburst Bold Prints, and you can, the reason why I use that is part of the images that come from Australia is very dot based, and I feel like this was quite inspired by their images and what their drawings are. So I felt very privileged to have been inspired by just my home country. Okay, so these images as well from the Hero Arts collection. Now this Hero Arts collection has coordinating dies as well. This is patterned animals, and these animals look very close to the animals we have here in Australia. So it most likely was inspired, and it looks like it was inspired by our home country. So I couldn't wait to use this. Now I love the solid stamping, and the black really contrasts well. I've used some vellum and some black cardstock because I found these turned out really great with white embossing powder as well. Now I do end up changing my design. I keep the layout and design the same, but the color cardstock and the vellum, I just found that I just tweaked it around. So I show you and leave my process here. I mount and cut that piece down to matte on black cardstock and then a white card base. Originally, you see, I see the vellum and then the black cardstock. I wanted it to be a little bit more impactful, so I bring a black heart and a white circle cardstock here, and then just stamp in Onyx black ink in VersaFine. I found this color combination a little bit more friendly. I don't know why. I liked it more. I found it a little bit more impactful. So I kept and changed my mind. I didn't mean to change my mind so many times, but it meant a lot making this card. And you can see here that I became a little bit indecisive. I trimmed down the circle here just on the side. I didn't want it overhanging And to secure these down, I use a foam mount and liquid adhesive. So the heart is done with a foam mount. The actual circle that I've trimmed off is with liquid adhesive to create a little bit of dimension, and the kangaroo was foam mount and adhesive foam. And that finishes my card off for today's creation. So there's 3 beautiful inspired cards for you, and the last one was very close to my heart, being inspired by the Australians and the Indigenous people here in Australia. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to reading your comments. The links for the next hopper is going to be below, and that will be the first link, and then I will link anything